Couples Textbook Part 8. Everyone, last time we talked about men's sexual nature, right? We said that men are driven by sexual curiosity and visual sensitivity. But what about women? Well, women's sexual nature is a bit different. For women, it's all about emotional stimulation and the sensitivity of touch. These two things are key. To put it simply, women need to feel, first and foremost, that a man truly loves only her, that he's someone she can't live without, that they'd both do anything for each other. This feeling, this emotional connection, is what comes first for women. We call this emotional stimulation. It's sometimes called the emotion spot or E-spot. You know the story of Ali Baba and the 40 thieves, right? The thieves had to say, "Open sesame," to enter the cave where the treasure was hidden. It's the same with women. To enter a woman's treasure cave, her heart and body, you have to open her E-spot first. For men, that means being someone she can respect and rely on, someone she can trust, someone who remembers even the small things, and above all, someone who is sincere when he says, "I love only you." If a woman's E-spot isn't open and a stranger tries to touch her sexually, she'll instinctively recoil and feel creeped out. Even if it's someone she knows, if he touches her without her permission, she'll find it very unpleasant and get annoyed. And if a woman, especially at a young age, experiences sexual harassment or assault, that trauma can follow her for life, causing pain and anger that's hard to describe. So men absolutely must remember, never touch a woman's body or try anything sexual without her clear consent. Women nurture their affection within the feeling of being loved, and this sense of unity grows over time. That's why, generally, when a woman says she loves someone, unless it's a very short-lived feeling, her love is much deeper and longer-lasting than a man's. When a woman says, "I love you," it often means, "I am your woman, and I would do anything for you." So men, you need to always wrap your partner in warm love and care so that her feelings never fade or get hurt. For women, the trust and affection they feel grow through the warm care, actions, faith, and sincerity shown by their partner. Ultimately, when these feelings are completed through physical contact and touch, the relationship becomes even deeper and stronger. In other words, no matter how much a man and woman love each other emotionally, if there's no physical contact for a woman, that love can remain just an idea. That's why, for women, the emotion that comes from touch, after emotional stimulation, is so important. A woman's sensitivity to touch is made up of two parts: sensitivity that's already developed and sensitivity that's still latent. Compared to men, women have much more developed erogenous zones all over their bodies, so they can feel immediate pleasure through caressing. The latent sensitivity is the sexual energy, sexual capacity, and the sense of climax orgasm that's hidden within. These develop and grow through loving and quality sexual experiences, and when they're well developed, they can be far greater than what men experience. This really shows that a woman's sexual nature is rooted in her sensitivity to touch. Let's make an interesting comparison here. Men's sexual nature is based on visual sensitivity and sexual curiosity. Both are in the realm of the mind. Of course, these lead to sexual urges and actions. But because men's sexual nature is mental, the physical pleasure they get might feel strong at first, but it fades over time. On the other hand, women start with emotional stimulation, a mental aspect, but finish with sensitivity to touch, a physical aspect. So, the more mature and meaningful the sexual relationship, the more a woman's sexual capacity and pleasure grow. In the end, women are built to enjoy almost all the fruit of sex. That's why people say women get 90% of the pleasure from sex, and men only 10%. It's like men are happy just looking at a picture of a cake, but women actually get to eat and enjoy the real thing. But why doesn't this happen often in real life? It's because both men and women are often ignorant or indifferent about sex. There isn't enough systematic, practical information about sex, and people are exposed to wrong ideas, so they don't know what's right or what to do. That's why couples can't create a harmonious and happy relationship. So even though women could get 90% of the pleasure, sometimes they don't even get 10%. And men, even if they get it all, only get 10% or less. Couples in this situation don't know what true marital happiness is, and time just passes by. That's really unfortunate. So, how can we create the ideal marital relationship? If women, who have 90% of the potential for sexual pleasure, think about what they can do for men, who have 10% that's already expressed, and if men think about what they can do for women, who have 90% of latent potential? The answer becomes clear. Sometimes women think that because they love their partner, they should give everything emotionally and physically too. But that only brings negative consequences for women. If you spend a long time building emotional love and truly trusting each other, when the time is right, and your love is fully ripe, that relationship will be deeply beneficial for both partners. And here's something women must remember. Even if you love someone so much that you become physically intimate, always try to keep at least a little bit of mystery as a woman. Internally, always think of yourself as someone who knows how to feel shy or embarrassed. If you do this, you can reduce some of the disadvantages that might come from sexual contact, and you'll have a powerful way to keep your charm in your partner's eyes. From the perspective of women's sexual nature, if your affection for your husband becomes too focused and obsessive, it can lead to symptoms of jealousy or even paranoia. If a wife becomes too attached, it can make her husband's life very difficult and cause serious conflict in the marriage. So wives need to make a conscious effort not to let all their affection focus on just one person. While you can love your husband deeply, you should also share affection with friends, parents, siblings, and neighbors, so your feelings aren't all concentrated in one place. To sum up, if men's sexual nature helps them build broad social relationships, women's sexual nature helps them form a very deep connection with one person. This is the fundamental power that makes a family beautiful and happy, and it's the foundation of our lives. The reason men and women have such different sexual natures is so that, through harmonious relationships at home and in society, our lives can be richer and more meaningful. That's the wisdom of nature.